Hey everyone, welcome to your personalized deep dive.
Hi.
Today we're going to be exploring the Mekong Delta's development.
Okay.
All the challenges, all the ambitions, what it means for you.
Sounds good.
And get this, our main source is a Vietnamese language report.
Oh, wow.
Straight from Can Tho University, dated January 2025.
Wow.
Talk about an insider perspective.
Yeah, so I think what's really fascinating about this report is how it really connects all these dots between, human resources and science and technology and just overall regional development.
Yeah.
And it's not just theoretical,
Right.
It really digs into how these things are actually shaping lives in the Delta right now.
Okay, so let's kind of set the scene a little bit.
Yeah.
We know that the Mekong Delta is vital to Vietnam.
Uh-huh.
It's their rice bowl, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's often called that.
Yeah.
But I think there's more to the story.
Yeah, for sure.
The report really paints a picture of a region that's facing some serious headwinds. Okay. For one, climate change is just a huge factor.
Yeah.
Rising sea levels, unpredictable weather patterns,
Yeah, the whole 9 yards.
The whole 9 yards, exactly.
Yeah.
And that obviously impacts everything from agriculture to infrastructure.
So it's not just about like growing enough rice anymore.
Right.
It's about growing it in a way that can withstand these environmental pressures.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, you've got these global economic shifts happening.
Okay.
Things like automation, changing consumer demands, all these new trade agreements.
Okay.
The Delta really needs to adapt if it wants to stay competitive.
Wow, it sounds like they're navigating a pretty complex landscape.
They are, yeah. It's a challenging situation.
Yeah?
And to make things even more challenging, the report points out a pretty startling fact.
Okay.
The Mekong Delta actually has the lowest skilled labor rate.
Oh, wow.
In all of Vietnam.
Seriously? I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, it's a real issue.
Oh.
You see, Vietnam as a whole has made huge strides in education and skills development over the past few decades. But the Delta, for various reasons, has really lagged behind.
So what are the implications of that?
Yeah.
What does it mean to have a low-skilled labor rate?
Well, for one, it really limits the types of industries and businesses that can thrive there.
Yeah.
A lot of companies that are looking for skilled workers, especially in these, high-tech sectors, they might just choose to invest elsewhere.
So it impacts their ability to attract investment and create high-paying jobs.
Exactly. And it also makes it harder for the Delta to adapt to those global economic shifts that we were talking about.
Right.
A lot of these emerging industries, you think about renewable energy, advanced manufacturing, the digital economy, these all require a highly skilled workforce.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
You've got these external pressures from climate change, from globalization, and then internally, you're also dealing with this skills gap.
Precisely. And the report really doesn't sugarcoat things.
Yeah.
It explicitly states that a lack of high-quality human resources is one of the biggest obstacles to the Delta's development.
Now, when they say high-quality human resources, what exactly do they mean by that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is it about, like, specific degrees or, technical skills, or is there something else to it?
It's really a combination of factors.
Okay.
They're talking about people with higher levels of education.
Yeah.
Yes, but also people with specialized technical skills.
Okay.
Problem-solving abilities, critical thinking adaptability.
Right.
The kinds of attributes that you need to thrive in a rapidly changing world.
So it's not just about, like, filling factory jobs. Yeah. It's about having a workforce that can innovate and adapt.
Exactly.
And compete on a global scale.
Exactly. And this isn't just an abstract economic concept.
Right.
This has real implications for people's lives.
Right, because behind these statistics are real people.
Absolutely.
Real families trying to make a living.
Yeah. And the report highlights a really troubling trend.
Yeah.
Many skilled workers are actually leaving the Delta
to
find better opportunities elsewhere.
It's like a brain drain.
Exactly. It's a brain drain.
Yeah.
The very people they need to drive progress are being pulled away.
Yeah.
And that creates this vicious cycle.
Oh, God.
The lack of opportunities drives skilled workers away.
Right.
Which further limits the Delta's potential.
Yeah.
Which then makes it even less attractive to skilled workers.
So how do they break that cycle? What's the plan to turn things around?
Well, the report outlines some really ambitious development goals
right.
for the Mekong Delta, a roadmap for 2021 to 2030, with a vision extending all the way to 2050.
Okay, so they're thinking long-term.
Yeah, they're thinking long-term.
Give me the highlights. What are they hoping to achieve?
So they have a number of key priorities.
Okay.
And I think a lot of these will resonate with you.
Okay.
For instance, they're putting a huge emphasis on high-tech and sustainable agriculture.
Now, when you say high-tech agriculture, paint me a picture. What does that actually look like?
Sure. So imagine things like precision farming.
Okay.
Where sensors and data analysis are helping farmers optimize irrigation fertilizer, use crop yields, or drone technology being used for tasks like planting, spraying, and monitoring crops.
So it's about bringing, like, cutting-edge technology into the fields.
Exactly.
To increase efficiency and productivity.
Exactly. But it's not just about tech for tech's sake.
Right.
It's about integrating technology in a way that is sustainable and environmentally friendly.
Right. You don't want to solve one problem to create a whole bunch of new ones.
Exactly. Yeah. And speaking of sustainability, the report really emphasizes this need to develop a more diversified economy. One that's less reliant on traditional agriculture and more resilient to external shocks.
Okay, so what are some of the other sectors they're looking to develop?
Well, with your fascination with cityscapes, you'll be interested to know that they're really prioritizing urbanization and smart city development.
That's intriguing.
Yeah.
What's their vision for urban development in the Delta?
Well, they're looking at models like Singapore and other innovative cities around the world.
Right.
They want to create urban spaces that are not just modern and efficient, but also sustainable, livable, and culturally rich.
So it's not just about building skyscrapers. It's about creating, like, thriving urban ecosystems.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the digital economy. They recognize the transformative potential of technology. I want to position the Delta as a hub for innovation and entrepreneurship.
That makes sense, especially given that skills gap that we were talking about.
Right.
They need to attract those tech-savvy workers.
Exactly.
And create opportunities for them.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. They're not just talking about the Delta as a whole. They're really looking at how each province can play a unique role in this development.
So it's like a coordinated effort where each region has its own strengths and focuses.
Precisely. For example, Cantho, which is home to Cantho University, is really focusing on attracting and developing high-quality human resources.
Makes sense, given the brain drain issue we talked about.
Right.
They need to make Cantho a place where talented people want to live and work. But how are they doing that?
That's where Cantho University comes into play. They're playing this really crucial role in training the next generation of skilled workers, conducting research that addresses the Delta's unique challenges, and fostering innovation and entrepreneurship.
Cantho University?
Yeah.
I'm sensing a deep dive within a deep dive coming up. Tell me more about this university.
Well, it's actually the largest and most capable higher education institution in the entire Mekong Delta region. They've got over 34,000 students. Robust postgraduate programs. A strong faculty with tons of PhD holders.
Wow, those are some impressive stats.
Yeah.
But what are they actually doing? That's so critical to the Delta's development.
Right.
That's what I'm really curious about.
Well, we'll delve into that next, but I think you'll be fascinated by some of the things they're working on. For starters, they're doing some really cutting-edge research on climate change adaptation, particularly as it relates to the Delta's agriculture.
So directly tackling that vulnerability we talked about earlier. Finding ways to make agriculture more resilient. In the face of climate change.
Exactly. And they're not just studying it. They're developing new agricultural technologies and techniques that farmers can actually use. Things like drought-resistant rice varieties, more efficient irrigation systems, sustainable farming practices.
So they're bridging that gap between research and practical application, which is so important.
Absolutely. And with your interest in cityscapes, you'll be interested to know that they're also involved in some really innovative urban planning project.
Oh, cool.
Exploring ways to make cities in the Delta more sustainable, resilient, and livable.
It's all starting to connect, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Climate change, urbanization, the digital economy, the need for a skilled workforce. It's like these aren't separate issues. They're all intertwined.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this report so insightful.
Yeah.
It takes this holistic view of development.
Right.
You know, recognizing that solutions need to address the complex interplay of all these factors.
So Phil University is right at the heart of this?
They are.
Trying to connect all these dots?
Yeah.
I'm eager to learn more about what they're doing.
Yeah.
I bet they've got some fascinating stuff going on.
Yeah, I think you'll be really impressed. Welcome back to our deep dive. You know, we've already uncovered some really fascinating insights, I think.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
About the region's challenges and its ambitions.
It's amazing how this report just goes beyond like the typical, dry statistics.
Yeah.
We're getting a real sense of like what's at stake for the people who live there.
It makes it so compelling and we're just getting started.
I know.
Remember how we were talking about the Delta's ambition to become a leading region in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, they've got those big development goals, those specific areas that they're prioritizing, like high-tech agriculture, sustainable urban development. I'm curious, like, how do they plan to actually make that happen?
Well, the report digs deeper into those goals, but it also takes a step back to kind of examine these global forces that are shaping the region's future. It acknowledges that, the Mekong Delta can't afford to be isolated in today's world.
So they're not just looking inward. They're also looking outward at the bigger picture.
Exactly. They're recognizing this increasing interconnectedness of the global economy. They're seeing the rise of new technologies, the urgency of addressing these shared challenges like climate change. And they're factoring all of that into their plans.
It sounds like they're saying we can't just focus on our own backyard anymore. We're part of something much bigger.
Precisely. And that means being proactive, strategic, collaborative in how they approach development. It's about anticipating changes rather than just reacting to them.
I'm seeing a theme emerge here, this idea of being like adaptable and forward-thinking.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway from this report.
Yeah.
And this is where I think Ken and Thor University's role becomes even more crucial. They're really positioned to provide the knowledge, the research, the training to navigate these complex global trends.
Because they're not just teaching textbook theories. They're connecting those theories to the real-world challenges facing the Delta.
That's right. And one of the things the report highlights is this importance of international collaboration, building partnerships with institutions, businesses, governments around the world.
It makes sense. No one has all the answers. Why not learn from others who have tackled technical challenges?
Exactly. It's about sharing knowledge, learning from each other's successes and failures, leveraging global expertise. And Cantho University is already doing this in a number of ways.
Oh, cool.
They've got exchange programs with universities in countries like Thailand, Japan, and the United States.
So their students and faculty are getting exposure to different perspectives, different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
I bet that's really eye-opening.
It is. It broadens their horizons. It helps them think outside the box. They're also participating in these collaborative research projects with international partners focusing on areas like climate change mitigation, sustainable agriculture, digital technologies.
It's like they're creating this network of knowledge and innovation that extends far beyond the Mekong Delta.
And that's essential if they want to achieve their goals of becoming a leading region.
Now, here's where things get even more intriguing. The report actually analyzes specific countries and regions that the Mekong Delta can learn from.
Oh, cool. So like case studies.
Yeah, like case studies.
I love those.
Yeah. It's like they're saying, let's see what's working elsewhere and see if we can adapt those ideas to our own context.
So who are they looking at? What are they hoping to glean from these other countries?
Well, one of the examples they highlight is the Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
Yeah, you might not immediately think of the Netherlands when you think of the Mekong Delta.
It seemed pretty different.
On the surface?
Yes. One's known for tulips and windmills.
Right.
The other for rice paddies and tropical fruits.
But the Netherlands has actually done some incredible things in terms of water management, sustainable agriculture, and urban planning.
Hold on, water management.
Yeah.
That's got to be relevant to the Mekong Delta.
Exactly.
With all the rivers and canals. Exactly. They're both delta regions.
Okay.
So they face similar challenges when it comes to flooding irrigation, protecting coastal areas, and the Dutch have, centuries of experience dealing with these issues.
So they're not just looking at countries with similar climates or cultures.
Right.
They're looking at countries that have tackled similar problems.
Exactly.
Regardless of where they're located.
Precisely. They're examining specific policies, technologies, approaches that the Delta could potentially adapt and implement.
So it's about taking those lessons learned and finding ways to make them work.
Exactly.
In their own unique environment.
Exactly. Another interesting example they analyze is Singapore.
Singapore.
Now, Singapore is obviously a very different beast.
Yeah.
A highly urbanized, technologically advanced city-state.
Yeah, not exactly known for its rice paddies.
Right. More known for their futuristic skyscrapers.
Right, cutting-edge technology.
True. But what's relevant here is how Singapore has transformed itself into this global hub for innovation, technology, and finance. They've created this incredibly dynamic and efficient economy, despite having very limited natural resources.
So they're looking at how to create that kind of dynamic, forward-looking environment in the Mekong Delta, how to attract investment, nurture talent.
Exactly.
Become a global player.
Exactly. They're studying Singapore's strategies for attracting foreign investment, developing a skilled workforce, fostering a culture of entrepreneurship. They're particularly interested in how Singapore has invested heavily in education and research, creating this highly skilled and adaptable workforce.
It's interesting how we keep coming back to that skills gap in the Mekong Delta. And it seems like Singapore has kind of cracked the code.
They have.
On creating that knowledge-based economy.
They have. And the report emphasizes that it's not about copying and pasting.
It's about understanding the underlying principles. And adapting them to the Mekong Delta's unique context.
So more inspiration than imitation.
Exactly.
Finding what works and making it their own.
Exactly. And to do that, they've got to be really clear about their priorities. The report actually breaks down the Mekong Delta's development priorities into several key areas. Sort of like strategic pillars.
So what are these pillars?
Sure.
What's at the top of their list?
Well, there are several, but some of the most prominent ones include high-tech agriculture, sustainable tourism, digital transformation, and human capital development.
We've already touched on high-tech agriculture and the digital economy, but what about sustainable tourism? What does that look like in the Mekong Delta?
Well, it's about leveraging the region's natural beauty and cultural heritage to attract visitors.
But it's also about doing it in a way that protects the environment, preserves local traditions, and benefits local communities.
So you don't want it to be just another
Exactly.
Mass tourism destination. It has to be tourism that respects the place and its people.
Exactly. And then there's human capital development, which is really the foundation of everything else. It's about investing in education, training skills development to create this highly skilled and adaptable workforce.
And again, we keep coming back to that. This idea of a skilled workforce. It seems like it's really the key to unlocking the Delta's potential.
It is. Without a workforce equipped with the right skills and knowledge, all those other goals, high-tech agriculture, digital transformation, sustainable tourism, they become much harder to achieve.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together. These pillars aren't isolated. They're all interdependent.
You're absolutely right. They're all interconnected. And the report stresses the importance of a holistic approach, addressing each of these areas in a way that supports and reinforces the others.
So it's about creating this ecosystem of progress where each element kind of contributes to the overall success.
Exactly.
You can't just focus on one thing isolation.
Precisely. And this is where I think the report makes a really insightful point. It's not just about economic growth.
Right.
It's about inclusive growth.
So making sure that the benefits of development are shared widely.
Exactly.
And that no one is left behind.
Exactly. They're looking at how to create opportunities for all segments of society, particularly those who have historically been marginalized or disadvantaged.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that everyone has a chance to participate in and benefit from the Delta's progress.
So it's about social progress as much as it is about economic progress.
Good.
It's about creating a more just and equitable society.
Precisely. And that brings us back to that brain drain issue.
Right.
If they want to attract and retain skilled workers, they need to create a society that is equitable, inclusive, and offers opportunities for all.
Right.
People want to live in places where they feel valued, respected, and have a chance to thrive.
Yeah, it's not just about offering high-paying jobs.
Yeah.
It's about creating a place where people feel like they belong and can build a good life.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
And this is where Canthway University's commitment to community engagement really shines.
Okay.
You know, we've talked about the research and their training programs,
Yeah.
but they're also actively involved in a wide range of initiatives aimed at directly improving the lives of people in the Mekong Delta.
So it's not just about ivory tower academics.
Right.
It's about getting out there and making a real difference.
Exactly. The community putting their knowledge and expertise to work.
Precisely. The people. Precisely, for instance.
Yeah.
They're working with local farmers to implement sustainable agricultural practices, helping to increase yields while also reducing environmental impact. They're running programs to provide digital literacy training to people in rural communities, giving them the skills to participate in the digital economy.
Right.
And they're even involved in healthcare initiatives.
Wow.
Partnering with local organizations to improve access to healthcare services in remote areas.
Wow. They're really touching on all aspects of life in the Mekong Delta.
They are.
It's not just sitting in their labs. They're out there in the fields and the villages and the hospitals.
They are. And that holistic approach is essential.
Yeah.
If they want to create this truly sustainable and inclusive development.
Right.
You know, it's about recognizing that progress
isn't just about economic indicators. It's about improving people's lives in tangible ways.
This is all really inspiring, it sounds like. Cantho University is playing this really vital role in shaping a brighter future.
They are.
For the Mekong Delta.
And the insights I've gleaned from this report so far are really just the tip of the iceberg.
I know.
There's still so much more to uncover as we continue to delve into the human side of development.
I'm excited.
And we'll explore those details in part 3 of this deep dive.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Mekong Delta's development.
Yeah.
You know, it's been fascinating to see how this report from Cantho University isn't just about statistics and strategies.
Yeah.
It really brings those ideas to life through the stories of the people it impacts.
That's one of the things that really struck me as well. You know, the report could have easily focused solely on, the economic and technological aspects of development, but it goes deeper.
It delves into the human side of progress.
Exactly. And in the last part, we were talking about Cantho University's commitment to community engagement and inclusive growth.
Yeah.
It's not just about, building shiny new cities or fancy tech. It's about making sure that progress reaches everyone.
Absolutely. And one of the most compelling sections of the report focuses on the personal stories of people whose lives have been directly impacted by these.
Oh, I love it when reports do that.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get lost in the big numbers
and
the abstract ideas. But when you hear those real life experiences, it makes it all so much more tangible.
You're so right. It reminds us that behind all the data points are real people with hopes, dreams, and challenges.
Exactly.
For example, there's a story about a young woman from a rural village who, thanks to a scholarship program run by Cantho University, was able to pursue a degree in agricultural engineering. That's fantastic. So she was able to access education and opportunities that might have been out of reach otherwise.
Exactly. And she's now using her skills to help farmers in her community adopt more sustainable and efficient farming techniques. So she's helping them increase their yields while also reducing their environmental impact.
It's like a ripple effect, isn't it?
It is.
That one scholarship has had this positive impact on her life, her family, her entire community.
Precisely. And the report is filled with these kinds of stories.
That's so cool.
You know, we hear from entrepreneurs who've launched successful businesses with the support of university incubators, students who've developed innovative solutions to local challenges, and families whose lives have been transformed by improved access to healthcare and education.
These stories really drive home the point that development isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about real people and the tangible ways their lives are changing.
I completely agree. And these stories also highlight another crucial element of the Mekong Delta's success, the power of local knowledge and innovation.
So it's not just about bringing in expertise from outside. It's also about recognizing and nurturing the talent and ingenuity that already exists.
That's a crucial point.
Within the region.
The report emphasizes that many of the most effective solutions to the Delta's challenges are coming from the people who deeply understand the local context, the culture, the environment.
They have that unique perspective that outsiders often lack.
Makes sense. They're the ones who live it every day. They see the problems firsthand, and they have a vested interest in finding solutions.
And this is where Kantha University is playing another critical role. You know, they're fostering that connection between local knowledge and scientific expertise.
Yes, they're acting as a bridge between the academic world and the real world. Helping to translate research into practical solutions that actually benefit people on the ground.
So it's a two-way street.
It is.
The university is learning from the community, and the community is benefiting from the university's expertise.
Exactly.
I love that collaborative approach.
It's a much more effective way to drive meaningful change. And this approach is reflected in many of the report's recommendations. For example, there's a strong emphasis on supporting local entrepreneurs, particularly those working in areas like sustainable agriculture, ecotourism, and digital technologies.
So it's not just about attracting those big companies from outside. It's also about nurturing those homegrown businesses that are deeply rooted in the community.
Precisely. There's also a call for increased investment in vocational training programs that are tailored to the specific needs of the Mekong Delta's economy.
That makes sense.
They want to make sure that people have the skills to fill the jobs that are actually being created in the region.
So it's about aligning education and training with the real-world demands of the job market.
That's a smart strategy.
It is.
And they're also recognizing that education needs to go beyond just traditional academic subjects. There's a push for integrating practical skills, entrepreneurial thinking, and environmental awareness into the curriculum.
That's great.
You know, they want to prepare students, not just for jobs, but for active and engaged citizenship in a rapidly changing world.
That's fantastic. It's about equipping them with the skills and knowledge to be problem solvers, innovators, and responsible stewards of their communities.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And one final point I want to highlight is the report's focus on long-term sustainability. You know, it's great to talk about economic growth and technological advancements, but it can't come at the expense of the environment or future generations.
I was just thinking the same thing. It has to be development that benefits everyone, not just the current generation. You have to find that balance between progress and preservation.
You're absolutely right. The report makes it clear that sustainable development is the only path forward. For the Mekong Delta, they can't afford to repeat the mistakes that other regions have made. They have to learn from the past and build a future that's both prosperous and sustainable.
So how are they putting that into practice? What are some of the specific things they're doing to ensure sustainable development?
Well, for starters, they're investing heavily in renewable energy sources like solar and wind power. They want to reduce their reliance on fossil fuels and transition to a cleaner energy future. They're also implementing programs to promote sustainable waste management, reduce plastic pollution, and protect biodiversity.
It's about recognizing that economic growth can't come
Exactly.
at the expense of the environment.
Right.
You have to find ways to thrive without destroying the very resources they depend on.
Exactly. And they're also emphasizing the importance of cultural preservation. They recognize that development can sometimes lead to the erosion of traditional values and practices.
Right.
You know, they want to ensure that the Mekong Delta retains its unique cultural identity, even as it modernizes.
So it's not just about economic progress, it's about preserving the soul of the region.
Perfectly said.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the Mekong Delta's development landscape.
It's been an incredible journey.
It has.
Exploring the region's challenges and opportunities and the inspiring work being done by institutions like Camphil University.
What's remarkable to me is that even though this report is specific to the Mekong Delta, it raises some really universal questions about the nature of progress, you know? It challenges us to think about what truly matters. Not just economic growth, but also social equity, environmental sustainability, the preservation of cultural heritage. These are themes that resonate far beyond this one region.
It really makes you think, what are the key skills and knowledge that will be most valuable in the coming years? Not just in the Mekong Delta, but globally. How can we all contribute to building a more sustainable and equitable future?
Big question.
These are questions we all need to grapple with.
I couldn't agree more, and I hope this deep dive has sparked some ideas and inspiration for you.
Me too.
Maybe it's given you some new insights into the challenges facing developing regions. Or perhaps it's inspired you to think differently about your own role in shaping a more sustainable future.
It's definitely given me a lot to think about.
Good.
And for those of you listening who want to delve even deeper into this fascinating topic, we've included some links in the show notes to additional resources, including the full report from Camphil University.
It's a treasure trove of information for anyone interested in sustainable development, the role of education and innovation, and the power of local knowledge.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Until next time.
Take care.